Okay, the next section that we are learning is actually how to apply the knowledge that we learned before for unit circle in order to solve questions. So the first question that we can see here is find the exact values of cos theta for sine theta equals to 2 over 3. So just now in our formula over here, we learned that cos square theta plus sine square theta equal to 1. So this is what we are using right now. So say cos square theta plus sine square theta is equivalent to 1. And in this question, the value of my sine is given. So because the value is given, it can be substituted into the sine. So this becomes 2 over 3. And because there is a square, we write the square here. The rest, because we cannot solve it at the moment, all we have to do is copy them down into here. So now we have this. We could actually move this value to the side so that we can simplify it. So it means that this will be still cos square theta equivalent to 1 take 2 over 3 square. So 1 take 2 over 3 will be equivalent to, we have to solve the square bit first. So it's 1 take 4 over 9, which is 5 over 9. But the question wants us to get the values of cos theta. But in this case, we still have a cos square, and therefore we need to square root both sides. So this is actually still a cos square. We kind of need to square root both sides for it to be solved. So this will actually become cos theta, and your square root 5 and square root 9 could be separated out. So this will be square root 5 over 3. Because this is for SAY's curriculum. Every time you square root something, you need to have a positive and a negative. From what we have learned previously, how does this question relate to the unit circle? We learned before that the unit circle has a radius of 1, and this is y and this is x axis. So we also learned that if that is sine theta is equivalent to y, and in this case y is also equivalent to 2 over 3. So for y to be equal to 2 over 3, we will have 2 over 3 below the 1, and this line will be a line where y will be equivalent to 2 over 3. So because this line and this circle intersect at this point, we need to find the cos. The cos will be the corresponding x values. So corresponding x values, we will link this down to the x-axis. So the x-axis will sort of have two values, which is a positive and a negative. So it makes sense that we got an answer that has a positive and negative value, so that the positive value goes here and the negative value sort of goes into here. So if we have another question, like for example, if sine theta is equivalent to 3 over 4 and that the theta lies in between, oops, sorry, broke my pencil, and that the theta lies in between pi and 3 pi over 2. So we need to find the values of cos theta and tangent theta. Okay, sometimes they say find the exact values. Find the exact values. I forgot to mention previously, what does the exact value mean? So in the previous question, it's also the exact value. It means that once you have gotten your answer, do not round it off. Do not change it to decimal and truncate the final bits. Just leave your answers in this form with a cert or a square root, and that's it. Do not try to simplify it. So if we have, coming back to here, if we have a question that gives you sine is a negative 3 over 4 and that the theta is in between pi and 3 pi over 2. How do we find cos and tangent? We can do this step by step. So going back to the unit circle, we learned before just now that that's a 0, that's pi over 2, that's a pi, that's a 3 pi over 2, and that's a 2 pi. So if we have an angle that is between pi and 3 pi over 2, we can somehow say that the angle is here. So another point to remember in trigonometry is for a unit circle, and this is the quadrant. Let's say we have lines passing through the quadrant. We only take the values that is nearer to the x-axis. So if I have an angle, okay, and the angle is in this quadrant, I need to take the angle that is over here, which is this one. From here, how do we solve this question? We need to look back to the formula that we have learned just now, which is cos square plus sine square theta equals to 1. So copying down the equation, cos square theta plus sine square theta is equivalent to 1. In this case, because the sine is given, I can actually substitute this in. So cos square theta is plus negative 3 over 4 square equals to 1. I did this because I substitute negative 3 over 4 into my sine. So now that I have done this, I can actually shift this to the other side. So cos square theta is equivalent to 1. Take negative 3 over 4 squared, which is 1 take 9 over 16, which is equivalent to 7 over 16. And because I only want cos and not cos square, my cos theta will become square root 7 over 4 with a plus and negative. But because now we are at the third quadrant, we need to remember the magic word, which is all CView teachers cute. So this is the third quadrant where tangent is positive, and only tangent is positive. Because this is a cos, we do not say that cos has two values. Cos has only one value, which is the negative value, and therefore in this case the cos is negative square root 7 over 4 because it's in the third quadrant. So the question actually wants us to find the value of cos and tangent. Because cos is done, now we have to calculate the tangent. And how do we do that? In the previous unit, we learned that tangent is equivalent to sine over cos, and this is the formula that we will be using. So using this formula, tangent theta is equivalent to sine theta over cos theta. We have already found out the value of sine, which is negative 3 over 4. So let's just copy it here, negative 3 over 4. And the value of cos, which we have found somewhere, which is here. Okay, so this will be negative square root 7 over 4. And simplifying this, we can get that the answer is negative, and negative becomes positive. So 3 over square root 7. So let's say we have a different question now. Now if tangent theta is given instead of sine or cos, let's say tangent theta is negative 2. And theta lies in between 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi. So we need to, in this case, find the exact value of sine theta and cos theta. Okay, so we have learned what does exact value means. It means that we have to leave it in surd form and not round it off. So we know that tangent theta is negative 2. So this is the clue that is given. And we have also learned that tangent theta is equal to sine theta over cos theta. So in this case, tangent theta is equivalent to sine theta over cos theta, and that tangent is also negative 2. So sine over cos is equivalent to negative 2. So in order to find out or relate the values, we need to say that sine theta is equivalent to, we can cross multiply the cos theta up to the right hand side. So this is negative 2 cos theta. And also we learned from the previous unit that cos square plus sine square is equivalent to 1. So this is what we need to use here. Cos square theta plus sine square theta is equivalent to 1. We need to make use of whatever that's given to us. So this sine square in this case is already my negative 2 cos theta. I need to replace this in. So why do I need to do that? Let me show you. So this is not changed, so I copied this down. So this is changed, negative 2 cos theta, and there's a square equals to 1. Why do I do that? I do that so that I can change the whole equation to just cos so that it can be solved. So let me expand this part. So this part is still the same. This part, once it's expand, is actually negative 2 square, which is 4, and cos square, so it's 4 cos square theta is equivalent to 1. So we know that these are like terms because this is cos square and this is also cos square. So this is somewhat like a 1 cos square theta, that's a 1, and plus 4 cos square theta will give us 5 cos square theta is equivalent to 1. In order to get the value of cos, we need to cross multiply. We need to move the 5 down to here. So it will become 1 over 5. And to get just the cos theta, I need to square root my 1, which is still a 1, and also square root my 5, and there's a plus and negative. So how do we determine whether cos is plus or minus? The same way as what we have done before. Unit circle. This is 0, this is pi over 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi over 2, and this is 2 pi, and it is clearly stated that theta is between, theta is between 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi. So it's actually on the 4th quadrant here. So we need to know that this is the angle we want, because we learned previously that we need to take the angles that's closer to the x-axis. So in this case, we're taking this one and not the one at this side. So taking this one, and also because we learned about all Seaview teachers cute, the 4th quadrant, cos is positive. So therefore, cos is a positive 1 over square root 5, because this is the 4th quadrant. You don't have to write the positive if you don't want to. So done with the cos. What else do we need? We need to find the value of cos. Done that. And we also need to find the value of sine. So how do we do that? We have found that sine theta is equivalent to negative 2 cos theta. So how do we get the value of sine? Sine theta is equivalent to negative 2 of cos, and in this case we know that cos is already a positive. Let's not copy the positive, it's the same anyway. So 1 over square root 5, this will be equivalent to negative 2 over square root 5, and that will be the value of sine. So does it make sense that sine is negative? Yes, it does, because this is the 4th quadrant and only cos is positive. This is a sine, and therefore it makes sense that this is negative. We have a question of finding two angles of theta on the unit circle, and that the theta is actually 0 to 360 degrees. So we need to use a calculator in this situation, and we need to make sure that because the angle in this case is in degrees, we need to make sure that our calculator is set up to degrees. So I'm using a borrowed calculator and it's in Chinese, and this could be a bit different, but we need to press Shift Set Up and go to the angle bit here. So in this case, the angle needs to be in degrees, so it's F1. So I'm sorry that this is Chinese, I don't know how to set this back. And once it's done, this is fine. And now we can actually solve questions using the calculator N. So now we look at the first question, and cos theta is 1 over 3, which is positive. We have learned previously about a magic word, which is all CView teachers cute. So in this case, a cos 1 over 3 is actually a cos theta of positive 1 over 3. So when cos is positive, it's sort of like on this quadrant and this quadrant. So does that make sense? So now that we have figured out the quadrant, you have to always remember that the positive or negative in front of the number is just to determine the quadrant. And now we have to solve the value of theta. So theta is equivalent to, in order to get the value of theta, we need to shift cos 1 over 3. So in this part, we need to use the calculator. And to shift cos, we have to shift cos 1 over 3 to get the answer, and we get 70.528 blah blah blah. So we will round this off to 70.53, if that makes sense. So theta is equivalent to 70.53, and in this case we have round this off, and therefore the answers is not exact, but that's okay because it didn't specify in this question that the answer needs to be exact. So we need to find this angle in these two quadrants. It means that we have learned previously that angles need to be, because this is first and fourth quadrant, the angles kind of need to be here and here. So what does that mean? We need to, let's draw this again because now it's getting a bit messy. We need the angle to be this one, and it is 70.53 over here, 70.53 over here. So how do we get the two angles? We need to, from the one that we have learned previously, remember that everything needs to start from this line here, which is when it's 0. So let's start from the same line here and spin it. So we need to spin until we touch these two lines, either one of the lines here. So the first spin is from 0 to here, which is this angle. So this angle is already 70.53. So one of the value of theta is actually 70.53. What about the other value of the theta? We need to again start from here and start spinning until we reach the next line, which is here. How do we get this big angle here? We need to use 360 to take away the unwanted angle. So let me just mark this as the unwanted thing that we don't want. So how do we do that? We need to 360 take away 70.53. So what do we get? We get, for this one, is 289.5, and this is still 70.53. So that's the answer for the first question. For the second question, how do we solve that? Let me just draw a line to separate the questions. So the second one is the same as what we have done for the first one. Sine theta is equivalent to 3 over 4. In this case, this is also a positive, and therefore, let me just draw this. For sine to be positive, it needs to be in this first quadrant and the second quadrant, because for all CView teachers cute, A is where everything is positive and S is where sine is positive, so it's here. How do we get the value of theta? We need to theta equal to, in this case, shift sine 3 over 4. So what do we get? We have calculator, shift sign, 3 over 4 is equal to 48.59. So that's what we need, 48.59. And now that we need to remember that our angle for first and second quadrant is this one, and therefore they should be here. It should be this one and this one. And I need to write, because I have solved this, this is 48.59 over here and 48.59 over here. And I need to always start from this line and start spinning until I meet the next line. So from here to here, this is 48.59. The first quadrant is always the easiest. The second quadrant, we need to start from this line again and spin it so that it hits the second line. So it's this one. In order to get this angle over here, we can't really find it, right? So we need to take 180 degrees, take this one. So take the unwanted bit. This is the unwanted bit. So we need to take 180, take the unwanted bit. And so what do we get from here? We can get, let me just get the calculator, 180, take 48.59. We can get 131.41, and therefore there will be also two answers for this question. So tangent is also the same. So let's just do the same stuff that we have done before. In this case, tangent is also a positive 2. So if tangent is a positive 2, let's separate this as well. Okay, so tangent is a positive. From all CView teachers cute, a tangent that is positive is in quadrant 1 and 3. So it's here and here. And we need to find the value of theta. We need to, theta is equivalent to shift tangent 2. We have to shift tangent 2 to get the value of theta. And in this case is 63.43 degrees. Okay, so from here we know from the previous section that we have learned, we need to take this quadrant, and therefore it's this angle and this angle that's closer to the x-axis that we want. The angle that's closest to the x-axis, the other angle that's closest to the x-axis. So this is 63.43, 63.43, and therefore theta is equivalent to 63.43, or from here to here, we need to spin from here again until we hit the other line. So this is actually 180 plus 63.43. So what do we get? We get two angles. One angle is 63.43 and the other angle is 243.43.